Welcome to the recap for session 9. Our session begins with everybody getting up, getting ready to get out of town. Latruda is sat upon the cart with Drugar pulling it, and the goblins are beside them. As they're leaving, they hear Latruda's name being called. When they look behind them, they see a couple of people who Latruda recognizes them as some of the people that they were teaching egg goal, or what we know as rugby, to the day before. They catch up and hand Latruda a basket full of goodies as a little thank you for teaching them the game. Latruda is not particularly interested in this and throws the basket away, but Harry goes and picks it back up because Harry thinks it's silly to throw food away, which, you know, makes sense. And then they're on their way. They're traveling down the road. Nothing particularly interesting happens on day 1. Latruda does ask a little bit more about the city and the neighboring area. Harry finds some mushrooms, which Latruda says maybe don't pick those up, but he does anyways, as Harry does, and throws them in his pack. The next night, the goblins warn them not to go too far from the road. However, on Latruda's watch, they do stray from camp, only to be met by some little blue people. The rest of the morning is normal. The next day of travel, Drugar asks if there's any way that they can get going faster, because he's a little worried about pulling this cart for 5 days. But neither of the magic users have any way to speed him up or anything like that. As they're going, they notice some quick wins, the same as Latruda noticed the night before. And off in the distance, they then see one of these little blue people stop and look and kind of give them the up and down. Harry decides that it's time to fight, and sends off a couple of magic missiles toward them, basically exploding them where they stand. He decides that he's going to go check out the body. He does find a pouch of gold and gems. However, the little blue person was not alone, and they end up in combat. The combat goes relatively well, despite the fact that Harry was downed, but does not stay downed. He manages to save, and Latruda heals him up. They continue on. After looting the other body, one quickling does get away, so they don't have as much loot as they could have, but they were not going to chase him down. So they continue with travel. Nothing else happens. The next night goes on. Nothing happens. Day 3, nothing particularly interesting happens. Iggy, can you please stop screaming? Latruda does ask the goblins a couple of questions, a little bit more about the city that they're going to, and then night 3 comes. During the first watch, Harry is up, and maybe a little too late notices that a darkness is encroaching. He cannot see anything through it. It is not like normal darkness. It is perhaps magical darkness. So he wakes everybody up. The goblins tell them it will be okay. Just sit tight. Don't be afraid. It's not going to hurt you. However, Latruda and Harry are frightened anyhow, and Drugar's just fine. So when he realizes that the other two are panicking, he tries to stop them. It doesn't work, so he decides to call out to them now that they've run away from him. And their second wisdom saving throw is successful for both of them. Listening to Drugar's voice, they manage to find their way back. The darkness passes without any harm coming to them. Latruda does end up a little upset that the goblins haven't been giving them a bit like a heads up about the dangers of being where they are, but the goblins are like, basically anything can hurt you, so just be aware. They can't really give the party any tips, because the tip is, if you don't know what it is, it will probably hurt you. The next day and night go just mundane travel, as well as the 5th day of travel, which is when they find the city. As they're approaching the city, they start noticing this vibration or charge in the air. They recognize it as being kind of similar to that around the rifts. Both Latruda and Harry are aware that this is some sort of magical feeling, Drugar less so, being not a magic user himself. But they enter the city, no problem. And the first thing that they notice is how colorful it is inside the city. And they specifically notice that there are like bright colors of 8 specific colors, same shade, same hue. Those don't really deviate. These colors do remind Latruda of a town that they've been to as kind of a vacation when they were a child, so they don't remember it super well, but it does remind them of the town of Basildon back on the material plane, which is also a very magically based town. Sir, you can't be here. The cat has joined. They notice that in addition to like the place being super colorful, there are also people walking around in robes of these colors, and so Latruda decides that finding somebody in a robe and asking some questions is maybe the right thing to do. And so they do that. They walk up to somebody in a green robe, find out that they're wearing a green robe because their magic specialty is necromancy. They find out that it is probably better for their purposes to find somebody in a red robe. And so they do that. They ask some more questions, and they decide kind of the places, the districts of these colors that they're going to go to. However, their next step is actually just to find a tavern. They kind of want to sit back, listen, find some like gossip, learn a little bit more about the town in a more passive way. And so they do that. Eventually they end up overhearing a group talking about being from the material plane. Finally, some people that might be able to help them a little bit more and like understand them a little bit better, because they feel kind of out of place in the Fae, obviously. So they decide to walk up, ask some questions of these people from the material plane. They get to talking, and eventually they do decide that work can wait and it's time for fun, and so they spend the rest of the night with these people, or maybe not. We will find out. They've decided that they're just gonna really let loose for the night and kind of see where the night takes them, and that's where we're gonna start session 10. It should be a blast. If you want to catch that live, you can. I will put a link and date in the description down below. I hope to see you there. If not, you will be able to find it back here. If you want to see more footage of this session, I will also drop down the full VOD 3 episodes in the description so that you can kind of get even more ridiculousness from us. I hope you enjoyed. Talk to you next time. Hey, thanks for checking out Chicka D&D. If you liked what you saw, click all the buttons down below. Subscribe, like, comment, you know the drill. Also, it'd be really cool if you came and checked us out live at Chickadee93 on Twitch, where you get to participate in the conversation, or watch us play D&D on campaign days. Thank you again so much. See you next time. Bye.